Hi, this is Rachelle with Scrapcraftastic, and I'm going to be working on setting up my standard size traveler's notebook. This is the winter leather from Mystic's Little Gifts. I'm not sure if this is still available. I purchased this on clearance, but if you would like to shop mysticslittlegifts.com, you can use my code Rachelle20 to save 20% off your order, and that does not apply to clearance items. So yeah, this is the traveler's notebook that I'm going to be setting up, and I went ahead and printed out the saddle stitch templates that are available on my website at scrapcraftastic.com. They're in the shop. So you have all of the traveler's notebook sizes, the popular sizes. This one is a standard, so I'll be using this template. And then I also have included a template if you're sewing in like a journal or a larger booklet. So if you're going to use multiple signatures with a larger size, this is for half page or A5, this template is also included with the set. So I actually have these in the craft lab. They're already cut and laminated, which makes them sturdy and easy to work with over and over again. But since I am roughing it kind of while I'm here, so I'm just going to trim that out and get it ready to use, and I'll just use it as the plain paper. And if you don't have a laminator, you could actually use packing tape. Maybe I should show you how to do that. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and find the packing tape and use that to kind of sturdy this up. Since I'm going to be doing 3 notebooks, I do want it to kind of hold up. So let me grab the packing tape. Okay, so I'm going to use this packing tape to just reinforce what we got going on here. So I'm just going to lay it down and trim it. And I'm just going to overlap it a little bit. And hopefully that'll hold it. So you could do both sides if you choose. I think for what I'm doing, I only need one side. And go ahead back and trim this off. And you could use a paper trimmer to do this as well. Okay, so let's put this aside. So also on the templates, there is a key that shows what the little boxes and symbols mean. So you can also cut that out, laminate it, and keep it if you need the key. So I'm going to go ahead and fold on the dashed line. And other than poking the holes, this template is ready to use. So let's do it this way also. So there we have it. Okay, and that looks almost as good as the one I have back home that's laminated. All right, so I've printed out some grid paper, all of these digitals except for the covers, which are these designs, but the actual insert digitals, the grid paper, this is dot grid. And then this is a weekly insert. It's horizontal. All of these are available in the shop at Scrapcraftastic. The cover designs I printed on cardstock, and I printed them double-sided so the inside cover would have a pattern. And these papers, these digital papers, are from Antique Papery, and I will link to their shop in the description box below. I purchased a bundle of digital papers from their shop, and I really like them, and I thought that these would look nice in the blue traveler's notebook. The only thing is the printer that I'm using here is a laser printer, and it does not have borderless printing, so either my inserts would need to be a little bit smaller if I cut the top and bottom border off, or I can leave that border and they'll be the normal size. So I think I'm going to leave the border, even though it bothers me. I think that eventually I may be able to come up with an idea to cover that. I could use lace or washi tape. I just don't have access to those things right now, so we're just gonna rough it. So I'm thinking, since these two are thicker, they're gonna be thicker notebooks, that I'm going to actually stitch them with some waxed linen thread. So before I even get started, I need to fold my pages in half, and then I need to trim them down to Traveler's Notebook width, which is 4.33. I usually either do 4.25, 4.375, something like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and fold them all. And I like to fold my pages individually so that they can have a nice clean fold. And we will have page creep because these papers are a heavyweight paper. This is not just your regular 20-pound copy paper. This is, let me show you the paper that I'm using in case you want to order the same paper. So this is 32-pound bright, 100% bright, 8.5 by 11 premium color copy paper. So that's Hammermill brand. I also like the HP brand, and I will link to both of those in the description box below. So the reason I'm going to go ahead and use the thread to stitch this instead of using a staple is because this notebook is going to be fairly thick, and the staples are only so long and may not staple properly through the width of the paper. There is a swing arm paper cutter here, so I'm going to go use that real quick instead of my Fiskars paper trimmer because I'm not going to be able to cut all of this at one time, so it's going to be better to use something more heavy duty. So this is what the first one looks like trimmed down. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones while I'm at it and get them all done together. Okay, so these two are done. This one is thinner than the other two, so I may show you how to actually do the staple without a long arm staple on this one. So let's set that one aside. And let's go ahead and figure out the covers for these two. I want to use this cover for the weekly insert, so I'm going to set this one aside together. And then for these, I think I'll use this one for the grid. And I don't know if I want this house on the outside like that. Or should I do this on the outside? But then part of the house would be cut off on the inside. So it's hard to decide. I think it's probably going to be best for me to go ahead and put the house on the outside. But what I need to do first is trim off this white edge. So let's get my paper trimmer. I know I need a new blade for this, but hopefully I can get it to cut. I know the measurements of these, but I just kind of want to be sure. And I'm going to wrap it around and kind of see where it needs to be cut. I'm just going to bend the paper a little bit right there. Oops. So that I'll know and see what that actually measures. Okay. So I'm going to trim it right there. I may need to trim it more, but for now I'm going to do it right there. So that's about 8 7/8, which I think is a little big, but let's go with it. So I can use this to make some little tags or embellishment or a belly band. So I'll hold on to that piece. Since I am working on junk journals right now, I can use that. It seems like that's going to work fine. So I'm going to go ahead and crease this. I'm going to use my bone folder since this is a heavier paper, just to make sure I get a nice crisp crease. Okay. So that is going to fit in there nicely. We have a little bit of overhang. I think that's going to be fine. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm going to do the same thing. Cut the white trim off. I'm going to use this side as the cover. Just put this closer to me so I can see where the paper is bent better. It's always natural for me to put the paper up at the top, but really it's better to put it close to you so you can see. I could even like turn this around like this, but because I don't use my left hand for things like that, it makes it a little hard. So that is why I do it that way. Anywho, let's see how that fits. I think that's going to be nice as well. So let's go ahead and just line these edges up. And put a nice crease in there. So that's how that one's going to look. Okay. Now that top white area is bugging me. Oh, what can I do to get rid of that on the outside? On the inside, it's fine. It's just the outside that's bothering me. Okay, so my options are to ink the edges, to go over it with a marker or a gold pen or something like that, and I may do that later. I don't know, but for now I'm just going to leave it. I did test it out on the scrap with doing the black ink around the edges, and I could make that work, but I don't think I want it to go that dark. So let's just keep it moving. I'm going to go ahead and get these ready to stitch. I'm going to use binder clips that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so this is going to be my third journal that I'm stitching with thread. The footage that I took of the original two is corrupt, so I am doing it once again so that I can show you how to do this. I do have waxed linen thread. This is from Amazon. I'll put a link to it in the description box below. These inserts are for a standard size traveler's notebook. So I've already trimmed this down, and I'm just going to use binder clips to hold the papers in place. Make sure that everything is in the fold tightly in the position that you want it to be. And then use your binder clips to hold everything in place. You want to have it positioned in somewhat of a 90-degree angle, maybe a little less, somewhere between 45 and 90 degrees. So you don't want it flat. You want it at an angle like this. And I have this book here that's from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use that as my base to kind of hold this in place while I poke the holes. I'm using this hole or pokey tool. I'm sure it has another name besides pokey tool. I will put it in the description box below. And I have mechanical pencil here and the template ready to go. So basically what you would do is put your template of whatever size you're using in the center of your collection of papers, or signature is what this would be referred to, or insert, and a traveler's notebook insert. The markings will show you where to punch. Depending on the style of punch that you want to do will determine where you punch through your insert. This is where the key that I showed you previously will come in handy if you're not familiar with this. So I'm going to use this hole, this center hole, and this outer hole. So I'm going to use the two outer positions to do this. So I'm going to start in the middle. I don't know why I always do, but I usually do. And I'm going to punch through. And you can hear it and feel it when it goes all the way through. And the book underneath protects your surface. So, and you can do that with a phone book or just an old book or a cushion or anything that you have that you don't mind poking a hole through or into. You don't want it to go through, you want it to go into it. Okay, so now you can see hopefully the 3 holes that we have here. So we're done with the template and the book for now. This is the needle that I'm going to be using. You can see there. It has a pretty narrow head on it. You don't want a needle with a wide head or too big of a needle because it will make the holes that you just punched even bigger, and you don't want giant holes. So with the thread, if you don't have thread, you could actually use dental floss, wax dental floss, or plain dental floss to do this. Most people do like 3 lengths of the book that they're stitching. I usually do about 2.5 because I find when I do 3, I have so much waste. So I don't want to waste my thread, so I kind of use it as sparingly as possible. Then I cut the thread at an angle. That helps make it easier to thread through the needle. This particular thread is flat. It's not a round thread, so when I cut it at that angle, it makes it easy to take that end piece or end point and feed that through. Like so. Okay. So we're going to do like a figure 8. So what that means is I'll go down through the center, come up through the top, then go back down through the center again, and come up through the bottom. And it kind of makes like a figure 8. Okay. Take the tail and clip it into under your binder so that it doesn't slide all the way through while you're tightening. So I'm just going to go through the center hole, then back up through the top, if I can get my hand still long enough. Okay. Then we go pull it kind of tight, not too tight. You don't want to rip the paper, and this thread will rip the paper. You want to go through that center hole again, but you don't want to split or sew through the thread that's already there. You just go beside it and then up through the bottom, which is now on the top because I have it turned upside down, like so. Pull it tight, and you want these to check the outside to make sure that they're snug against the book or insert. So I'm going to hold these tight together, and I'm going to take this underneath this top one to give me a little bit more leverage, and I'm going to pull those tight, 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 tight. And tie my knot. So I didn't leave this tail very long. This side is longer. Ideally, I would want both of these to be a little bit longer to hang outside. But since it's not, I'm going to leave this on here before I trim it. But since they're not, I'm going to cut them pretty evenly. The reason you would leave them long is if you want to add some beads or embellishment to your strings. So that didn't work for me that time, but the other notebooks that I made or inserts that I made do have long strings, and so that's it. Fold it, and this is what it looks like on the outside, inside, and yeah, you can do that with dental floss from Dollar Tree. And now you have insert to put in Traveler's Notebook. So now we already have the dot grid version. This is the week on 2 pages horizontal. All these inserts are available in my shop, and this is the grid. So, and for these, I'm thinking I may come back and trim off this white part because it's really bugging me. And they are a little tall for this traveler's notebook. Ideally, standard size is 8 1/4 in height, and this is still 8 1/2. So I could stand to trim off a little bit. These corners aren't rounded. I'll go back and round them. So that's it on how to saddle stitch using thread. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that little gray bell so that you'll receive notification each time I upload a new video. Be sure to check the community tab and my stories for updates throughout the week. Also, check us out over at patreon.com/Scrapcraftastic for exclusive content and digital downloads. Visit my other channel, Journal Life's Journey, for live craft videos, junk journals, and weekly vlogs. You can find me across social media at Scrapcraftastic. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!